Hey, what up? This is Mr. Trigger coming to you from Skid Row Tattoo in downtown Los Angeles. I'm going to be bringing you on tattoo stories from some of the sickest artists in the game, brought to you from Sanction TV and Maker Studio. Each week, we're going to show you these artists' best ink on celebrity clientele, all the way to homies in the hood.
My name's Wessman. Right now I'm working out of a place called Wooster Street Social Club in New York City in Soho. Been tattooing and living out there for a few years, but I go back and forth to Cali here every month or two. I grew up in Oceanside, California, just kind of in between LA and San Diego. Started tattooing 15 years ago. Started hanging out at tattoo shops like almost 20 years ago. Where I grew up, it was interesting because it was a real mix of like Latino gangs, black gangs, and then just some random like me and my family in like this area where it wasn't really like white trash, so there was not a lot of white people. So I grew up around a lot of gangs, man. Bloods, Crips, Pasole, Center Street, like everything, and I'm just like some little white kid in the middle, you know, which is what I love about tattooing, because it gave me my identity, you know. So I didn't have anything to really hold on to as far as like a culture, as far as a people, you know. So tattooing gave me that. It's cool, man. I was able to kind of touch everybody and deal with everybody on a respectful level. My older brother's friends started tattooing the whole neighborhood when we were young kids. So I used to see all the older guys in the hood all tatted up, and I wanted to be like that, you know? Yeah. So I started going over there about 16 years old, got my last name across my back, started getting like the neighborhood specials, you know? So yeah, just this one guy, he just asked me one day if I wanted to learn, if I wanted to be his apprentice. And I took about a week, and I said, yeah, I want to do it. You know, my parents were kind of like these really creative, hippie kind of musician kind of people, so they always push like hard creativity. It wasn't like a direct style of art that I learned as a kid, but just like a creative mind. So when I started tattooing, I actually learned a whole new style of art, you know, drawing tattoos and stuff that was going to be on people forever. So specific tattoo style art I learned when I started tattooing. I think I'm mostly known for like traditional classic tattooing, you know, but when people ask me that these days, man, I just say like good tattoos, you know. When I started tattooing, you just did whatever came in the door. You didn't have like, oh, I only do this, you know. You did what you could to make the dough. You know, I'm inspired a lot by like close friends because I'm around them more, obviously, you know, like Tim Hendricks and Chris Carver, and but it's hard to pinpoint that, you know. There's so much inspiration from everywhere, and I'm more inspired by just solid people, you know, and the artwork kind of comes, you know, with just kind of practice, but you know, that good energy you get from good friends and good people around you, you know, that's where you produce the best stuff. Growing up in Cali, it was, you know, a lot of black and gray, a lot of like neighborhood style stuff, and a great appreciation for that. And in the East Coast, there's not a lot of people doing that. Classically, I feel like there's a lot of Japanese work being done on the East Coast that I didn't really see growing up here in Cali. But you know, there's good tattooers throughout, you know, they're peppered throughout East Coast, West Coast. Bobby Tribal and I just connected just from growing up in the same area. I used to own a tattoo shop in downtown San Diego, and Bobby's real active in San Diego, you know, that's where his home base is, where Tribal's based out of, and I don't know exactly the moment we met, but we've been real cool since we met, you know, and he's helped me out a lot with a lot of different things, and he's like a big brother for sure. And I got a lot of love and respect for Bobby, you know. He's done a lot of good things in San Diego, and just all the homies growing up, you know. He was like a big brother and uncle for everybody, you know. And yeah, I'm real lucky to have met him, and be, you know, I'm lucky to be able to call him my friend, you know. Yeah, the Left to Right show was so cool because it was just something like New York hasn't really seen, you know. It was really a representation of really like a Southern California culture that the people in New York were really tripping on, you know. There were some cholos out there from like upstate New York that were like super East LA looking but weren't, you know what I mean? Sereno tattooed on their stomachs, and in the art show with their shirts off. It was a real diverse mix though, because it was a lot of like respectable kind of hood street people, but then a lot of like New York, even some socialites, and some like actresses were there, and some famous people, you know. But you know, Bobby, Estevan Oriol was there, Franco, Vescovi. That was a real big deal for New York. It was a big deal for the West Coast to show out there. I've been tattooed probably by like, I don't know, 40 different people, you know, people I respect, people, new friends, old friends, you know. Old dudes that I consider legends, you know, like Bob Roberts and you know, Mark Mahoney and some of the LA guys like that, you know. And then a lot of the, you know, a lot of my friends, like I mentioned earlier, like Tim Hendricks and Garver, and luckily I'm around these guys so I can kind of try to snag a little tattoo. Like as a kid, I always wanted like a classic, like 64, you know, like what everybody wants when they don't really know about cars, or if they do know about cars, you know, 64 is the clean classic, you know. So I was like, when I get older, man, I want a 64 Impala, that's it. And then never really had extra money, and then I got the gig at Miami Ink, so I got it out in Miami. I shipped it home to Cali where I was still living, and slowly started working on it, man. This has been like 7-8 years now, and it finally looks respectable, you know what I mean? But I almost liked it better when it was all primer, you know. I didn't have to worry about people leaning on it and fucking with it. Nothing too fancy, but the ladies still like it, you know what I mean?